The TiLt interview.
Fuck's sake.
There it is.
Is it record? Oh, it is record. Yeah. Great. So the first thing I said was fuck. That's and now I said it twice.
That's how you want to start a podcast.
That is, isn't it? Right.
Maybe hello, fuck.
Oh, God,
Let's get that right out of the way.
We're all professional here, aren't we? So
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Joining me this evening all the way from Canada, an alternative metal duo that get better and better with each and every EP they release, which is an amazing feat considering just how strong their early work was. They are one of the one. Fuck. This is what I'm on about.
All good, bro.
Yeah.
See when we start a podcast, we just literally just hit record and
I'm just gonna start again. I'm gonna do it in one fluid motion. This is gonna be fantastic. You'll watch this. It's Oscar worthy.
I
was actually I was impressed there until you messed up. I actually was pretty impressed.
That's usually how it goes, mate, isn't it? Joining me this evening all the way from Canada, an alternative metal duo that get better and better with each and every EP they release, which is an amazing feat considering just how strong their early work was. They are the ones behind Debt of Sin, which has become one of my all-time favorite tracks to emerge from 2020, and Say Goodbye, which I played at the close of last week's show. Tonight, we're discussing their latest offering, a cover of Pink's 2005 track, Who Knew? Listeners of TiLt, I'm honored and humbled to introduce you to 12 Years Today.
Hey.
There we go. So yeah,
Did it
in one.
I'm impressed.
We'll completely ignore the first opening with the Fs and the bit. Everyone will just think I'm superb.
You can save that for a behind the scenes show or something.
I'd like to thank the Oscar for anyway, so good afternoon / evening, gentlemen. How are you both?
Yes, good evening to you.
Yep.
Good afternoon to us, I guess.
Yeah,
Is it raining there?
it is not. We have had snow.
Oh, wow.
In April.
Oh, that's you're preaching to the choir here, man. We've had snow plenty of times in April in Canada.
It's been bizarre here, and the weather it hasn't quite decided whether it's gonna just cover the ground and the trees, and then suddenly it'll brighten up, and the next thing you know, it's 5 degrees, and then within one swift wind blow, it's -2. So it's fantastic. I've not been out.
Wow. Yeah, we just came off of what was it the other day? It was like 25 degrees. It was a beauty day.
Which is super early for April.
Oh yeah,
and
very early.
And next week there'll be a foot of snow for sure.
Sure.
We definitely get it. We don't get anything decent here. So
nice.
That's the way it is in the UK. It's a temperate climate, and we're all temperamental.
Perfect.
Basically, the UK summed up in one sentence. Fantastic.
Nice.
But yeah, on a serious note, one of the most important questions that I do and will always ask people on my interviews is, literally, how are you? How are you doing? How is everything going?
We're waiting to see who wants to answer. Me, I'm great. We've had great weather. It's been a great weekend. We've caused a stir on social media with our
a good one, I hope.
Oh yeah, no, a good one. We made an announcement for some new music, and people seem really excited about it, which makes us really excited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just smiles all around, man.
Great. And Jason, how you doing?
Tip top Magoo. Can't complain.
That's probably the easiest response I've ever had. So that's fantastic. Obviously, as daft as it sounds, for the audio listeners, briefly introduce yourselves for us for the TiLt listeners this evening.
James, you're always going to go first. I think that's what we should just put that line in the sand.
Put the one
just do that. I go first.
You always go
first. In charge first. The one who's in charge goes first.
Yeah, James, that's you.
Are you gonna? Oh, you're gonna follow that up with one of those age before beauty things?
I wouldn't have a clue.
No.
Oh, him or me?
Oh, okay.
No.
All right. Well, for the introduction, so I'm James Burnett. I'm the lead singer of 12 Years Today. That's all I got.
Awesome.
I'm Jason. I'm everything else that James didn't mention.
You were gonna say I am everything that James is not. Yeah, that's what you were gonna say.
From what I got off the Spotify bio, James, you are the singer-songwriter of 12 Years Today, and Jason, you are drums and guitar. Is that correct?
I play and produce everything.
Right, cool. And obviously, is that the screen behind you? I can see at the moment. Is that something you're working on, or is that just?
Yep.
Is that your
It sure is. Yeah. It's
Is that the new track?
actually no, that one's done. This is
done. Awesome.
So yeah, this that's the next one.
The next one that's so not the one due for 30th.
Correct.
Ooh, so we've got more.
Oh, there's lots more. Yeah, I mean, I'm always more. I'm always writing and demoing and stuff like that. Especially days like today when it's raining. I usually find myself in here.
Do you know what I just realized I didn't put my phone on silent, and this is the one time people always tend to decide, hey, I wonder what Richard's up to today. This thing will not go, this thing will never go off ever until I'm either on a phone call or I sit down to watch a film.
That's usually how it goes.
That's exactly how it goes.
Yep.
Plus, I was going to do
100%.
very quickly. I was going to jump onto Twitter because I needed to just double check something. Because I actually want to do a shout out to Doreen, who follows us both on Twitter. Because actually it's Doreen was the one who basically said, oh, if you like new music, check this out. And she shared me a track called Debt of Sin, which absolutely
Doreen's awesome.
I'm gonna drop the F-bomb there. Debt of Sin absolutely fucking blew me away. It was great and it is fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, man.
Awesome.
That's
awesome, dude.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, right? I've been grabbing as much of the new music scene as I can lately. I know it's not really as up to date as some of the stations, but for me and for anybody that listens, it's up to date for them. Indie Rocks deals with independent artists, unsigned bands, and such. I've just got off of like 14 months of Decades Rock History, which was a show I originally pitched as an 8-week run from 1950 through to 2020. So as you can tell, 8 weeks turned to 14 months, and it was great. But one of the things I didn't do was obviously deal with the unsigned side. So now I'm on to TiLt, which stands for Today I Listen To, which is my hashtag, which hopefully everyone's going to be using. And I found you guys. I found quite a few great bands, quite a lot of them Canadian as well, I might add. I might as well point out
we have an abundance.
I don't have a problem with Nickelback either, you know.
I honestly don't either.
No, they've got some bloody good tunes, man.
Yeah,
Nickelback has done more for Canadian rock music than just about any other band out there. So
Bryan Adams, Shania Twain, yeah.
Well, I mean that's a different genre, but yeah, it puts us on whatever puts us on the map, right?
Exactly.
We'll take it.
They're
opening doors, and we have no problem walking through them.
Absolutely, mate. And you can spend as much time in that room as you want.
Absolutely,
it's great. So, next question, I guess. So, how did you guys originally meet?
Go ahead, James. That's you.
Originally we met. I guess it was in the MySpace days. We were both in separate bands, and we happened to play the same show. And Jason was drumming for his band in Season's Wake at the time, I believe. And my band, Infract, was also playing at that show. We were like the house band that day, I guess. All our gear was set up, so that's what all the other bands used. And I got to see, I love telling this story. I got to see my drummers, I don't know if it's impressive. It was impressive to me, but his impressive Pearl drum kit get played properly.
I thought you were going to say I got to see my drummer's arse.
No, definitely didn't get to see that. Thank Christ. But I did get to see Jason own those fucking things, and it was kind of a real eye opener for me that my drummer was lacking something. So it was really cool to see him play that.
You still speak to
and long story no, because it's one of those things, you know.
He's not going to hear us talking about the fact that he was lacking as a drummer, no.
And I don't think so, but if he did, I don't care. Like, quite frankly, it is what it is. Yeah, we weren't lifelong friends, and then, you know, the band stopped, and then we just continued on and being friends. I mean, the band stopped, the relationship stopped. It was unfortunate, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
But the really cool thing out of it was, long story short, when my band folded and Jay's band folded, we were left without really anything to do, and we ended up doing a cover of a Killswitch Engage song together called "The End of Heartache." Never released it. It was just something we did together, but we realized there was some chemistry there, and
so we decided to not talk for. So we decided to not talk for over a decade after that.
Exactly. I was just going to say it. We decided to deal with that by not doing anything.
Honing your skills, really, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's just life. Yeah. Just life, you know. Life took different paths, this, that, and the other thing, and it probably leads into your next question. It's just Jay was getting married, and he was over at a local watering hole, and a mutual friend of ours was part of that occasion and happened to bump into me that night and told me where he was going, and I said, "Oh, you know, be sure to say hi for me." And he did, and Jay was like, "Holy shit, that guy's still around!" And, you know, here, give him my number, like, see if we can get anything going.
Wicked.
And then we did.
Fantastic.
That's the short version right there. We got together and decided to make some music, and that was that ultimately became the first EP.
Mm-hmm.
And that took 12 years.
12 years, and hence the name.
Hence the name.
Yes. That was going to be the next question, but you've already got there. So, so before 12 years today, what did you have? Something like 12 years in the making, or a decade plus two, or something? I don't know.
We had a plethora of shitbag names that I honestly, we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
I can't remember anything that we came up with, but I can remember at moments, both of us thinking like we had something really golden, and then the other guy was like, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And we had to come up with I don't know, what did we come up with?
It was like a safe word. It was like a safe word, so we wouldn't hurt each other's feelings.
Like, because we'd be so excited, like, what about this, you know? And
and
it was like pineapple.
Yeah, because in the very beginning we would literally be like, no, that's completely shit, let's pick something else.
Yeah. Well, glad you guys got together, because it is it's phenomenal music, and I really need to get onto a thesaurus at some point and start looking for new words, because lately all I keep saying is fantastic, amazing, phenomenal, incredible, and I think I'm gonna.
Those are all different words. It's all good.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with any of those words.
Just interchange them. It's fine.
You'll say that, and then we'll get later on to the thing, and I'll say.
I got one for you. I've been using this one a lot lately. It's Amazeballs.
Amazeballs.
One. Yes.
That was an Amazeballs track by Debt of Sin.
Yeah, don't use that.
Amazeballs.
Love it.
So this is the thing. This is why you do podcasts like laid back, because, you know, you look at your text and things. Like, oh, what am I going to do? My next question will be, oh no, we've already done that. Yeah. So yeah. So 12 years today. Yeah. The actual question was, does it hold significant meaning at all? We've already got that. No, you mentioned the cover that you did was Killswitch Engage. Is that something that's going to be coming out at all, or something you're going to work on again, or do you have it in a back catalogue somewhere on a USB in the back of a drawer by the like an
it's
old?
It's in a USB drive for sure, but it'll never ever be.
No,
because we were really. I mean, like, I had just started recording and I had just started playing guitar. Really,
right?
Yeah, it was just. I think I want to say I was like tail end of high school when I did that.
You were like 19 or 20 or something like that. I don't even know.
Really?
Maybe not even. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
What was
I
that?
can't remember how old I was.
Did
a lot older than me, that's for sure.
Well, do the yeah.
Sorry. No, that's cool. I suddenly heard it in my ears. I thought, what the fuck's that? No, I didn't. I thought, what the hell's that? Excuse me. But yeah, it's not your first. So obviously, Who Knew's not your first cover, because you've got Home that you've done by 3 Days Grace on there.
Correct.
Right.
Which is a bloody good one as well, I might add.
Thank you.
In fact, let's talk about the songs of yours I hate. Yeah, none of them.
well, that's good news.
They're all good. I mean, it's. Oh, I did say I wasn't going to kiss your ass in this, didn't I?
Hey, kiss away.
It's all good.
Oh man,
it's all good. We're not going to get that too much from many other people.
Seriously,
even my kid who's like, yeah, you're okay.
Yeah, but they're like that coming in. My kids can't even keep quiet when I'm trying to record for my shows. They just come downstairs. Oh, what? Do you want me to be quiet? So, well, yeah, I did. You know. Oh, because it's just a hobby. If this was a job, would you be as loud? But it's not, is it? So there you go. Yeah, that's why I don't do live shows. You see, that's the main problem. And they're not going to watch this podcast anyway. But I do love your kids. Thanks, but you're still noisy if they do listen. But yeah. So I say thanks to Doreen, I said, who obviously got me onto Debt of Sin originally. One of those tracks that when you first hear something gives you goosebumps. I put it up there with other things that have given me goosebumps over the years. Let me see. And this is the moment when my mind goes blank because I'm staring at my audio stream. Goosebumps songs, maybe right. November Rain by Guns N' Roses. There's one. Avenged Sevenfold, So Far Away.
That's a great song.
Which is an incredible song. My Chemical Romance, Ghost of You. And when I first finally sat down and listened to Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd, all of those tracks that have sat with me like, my God. And then I first heard Debt of Sin and I cried a bit. I can get emotional. I can get emotional if I want to.
Absolutely, you can.
It's a bloody good song. And
I cried when I wrote it. There you go. It's all good.
That was the thing I was going to ask, because the lyrics are so deep.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it, or is it something you're going to keep to yourself? I'm not going to pressure you. I'm just going to say.
If I can give you the gist of it is, it's about a person who has completely wronged you in every way.
Absolutely, yeah. You can tell that. Yeah,
I have a lot of that. It's easy to write about. Everything that I write about is personal experience. I can't write fiction in that sense. It doesn't come out organically. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of unresolved things that are in that song. Things that happened. It's from a paternal standpoint, not me and my child, but it is about a father figure and being let down in every sense of the word. So
yeah, you can tell there is a lot of passion in that song. It is. There's
a lot of anger. There's a lot of regrets.
As the wife,
it goes back and forth. It goes from,
it progresses.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if deep's the right word, but it goes from being deep to just aggressive, because that's kind of where your mindset goes in situations like that. Is
absolutely
one moment you're upset about it, the next moment you're just really angry about it.
Yes.
Other days you don't really give a shit.
Yeah. Sounds like every relationship any ex person can agree.
Yeah,
to.
Absolutely, and that's what it's about. And it's about trying to forge on, build your life, continue your life, instead of that, like instead of dwelling on that.
In spite of that,
almost in spite of it. Yes, exactly.
So Jason,
that's what it's about.
Just so we're not ignoring you, mate. So does James write the lyrics and then you bring the music, or does it go the other way around, or do you both work together at the same time?
Yeah, it's typically the other way around. I have a an EP's worth of songs ready for James to pick away at if he likes them and whatnot. So I think that's typically how it works.
Because I've never. I'll be honest with you. You sit down and like, I personally wonder what comes first. It's like a chicken and egg scenario, isn't it? Do the lyrics
I mean,
put music to it, or is it easier like the other way around?
I mean, it's easier for me to just hand music over.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's easier for me too.
Like I've worked with. Well, I produced one singer that years ago who sang and recorded like all of his singing, and he was like, "Hey, can you make this into something?" So I had to like figure out the key that he was singing in and the chord progression that I could do with the guitar behind it and all that stuff.
Did it work?
I'm not really a guitar player, right? So it's kind of hard. Like I don't know I don't know. I didn't study theory and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I found out recently this Dave Grohl's the same. He doesn't know how to read music. He just sort of knows noise.
So yeah, like Slash was like that too.
I know it sounds right.
Nothing.
He's gone. No more cans for you, sir. I'm waiting for the moment I pick my bottle up and it all falls over the computer and everything explodes. But hopefully.
I'm gonna wait until Tuesday evening after my wife's watched this, and then she's gonna look at me like, "Did you clean that up?" Yes.
Yeah. He sent me a washcloth through the post. So we've got Dirt of Sin. Where does the inspiration come from? We've got that. No, obviously, as we said before, I've mentioned the fact that you did the cover of Home by 3 Days Grace. So when it came to doing Who Knew, why did you choose that one? Is it any particular reason for that song?
I tried to figure out how to make that a cover quite a while ago, actually, and I kind of kept it to myself because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. And after we did Home, like when we've said this numerous times, like our cover of Home is just like a 1-to-1, right? Like it's not like we didn't do our own, like we didn't make it our own or anything like that. We literally just copied what they did as best we could and released it. Where I mean, and it was fun, but I mean, it's not really anything.
I liked it. I mean, you are right. It is like a carbon copy, but then at the same time, it's not a bad thing doing a carbon copy because it shows that you can actually produce something as good as the actual band with just the two of you from a home studio.
Right. So, yeah. And I guess that's
bad about that at all.
I guess that was kind of our thought when we first did that. But when it came to Who Knew, like we wanted to do something that we could
call your own.
Take from like the pop world and challenge ourselves and see if we could make something from that genre and era sound like we created it.
Yeah, because it's not easy to take something like that and move it over. I mean, Pink herself, she did go from she started off with R&B, she went through rock, and she sort of ended up in a pop-esque thing. So she's gone through quite a few of the genres herself.
Yeah, she's quite the chameleon in terms of genre.
I'm thinking maybe that was my first thought. Maybe that was why you thought if you chose one of her songs to do as a cover, because of the fact that she's like multi-genred, that you could take one of hers and you could convert it to something that she could have done herself.
Yeah, I honestly wasn't really even thinking that far into it. I thought it was a catchy song, and it I had my guitar drop tune to drop A, and so like super low. I
have no idea what that means. I apologize if you start talking about
it's okay.
I'm just going to go.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's just just the tuning that my guitar was in, it worked. It worked. We didn't have to change the key of the song. It was still the same key, same melody, and all that stuff. Yep. So
I'm starting to filter out the top there. Can't remember which side it is. Don't worry. Ignore me. Like I said, if that screen comes down, you're going to notice just how unbelievably fake everything is here. So believe it or not, this is not a real brick wall.
You had me fooled.
Had me fooled too. Yeah.
It's like bloody thunder and lightning going up in the corner there, didn't it? Terrible. Ignore me. Right. So yeah, it's a good cover, and there goes the other can. He's trying to do it quietly. I did see that. I did see that. You know.
Yeah.
What was I going to do for the sake of the edit for Tuesday? Let's talk briefly about your influences when it comes to music. Are they the same? Do you both bring something from different things, or are you both basically, on the same level?
I think there's a lot of similarities, and I think there has to be. That's why we gel so well together. But there's also differences, probably more in specifics as opposed to actual genres. I got a couple years on Jay, so I probably dabble a lot more in the grunge era than he ever did, like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, that kind of stuff.
How dare you?
What, am I wrong? I don't know.
Kinda.
Okay, well, there you go. I've never heard you mention them before, so
okay.
I just assumed, so my bad. But yeah,
I never really
always
grunge myself. I wasn't one of those guys. I was into the R&B in the 90s.
Oh wow, there you go.
So I've changed. I've definitely changed.
I've always looked
shout out to R. Kelly.
Right?
Rather not.
Rather not, yeah.
Shout out to 90s R. Kelly, but not anything after I Believe I Can Fly.
90s that we know of.
Yeah, not yeah.
Anyway, we call ourselves alt metal primarily, and I've always looked at grunge as kind of the birth of alt metal. Sometimes I don't even like the term grunge or calling those bands grunge. I just call them early alt metal, because if you listen to Alice in Chains' Dirt album, it's very
gritty,
much the godfather to stuff that Breaking Benjamin's doing today, stuff that Seether and Seven Dust, like guys like that they're doing today. They take it to different levels, sometimes a little heavier, a little more low end, whatever, but I mean, it's all kind of born of the same thing.
So where would you put Korn apart from like genre wise? Because there's been a discussion between a friend of mine and myself based on how they place those as genres online, and they've put Korn down as I think it was did they put it down as metal? And he said it's not metal. No, they put them down as new metal, and it's like, well, no, they're not. And
he goes it for sure used to be. It for sure used to be.
They've had a bit of a.
The old days was definitely new metal. Now I would just put them in like alt metal or just metal. Like that's the thing, right? Is like metal is metal, and there's so many different ways to make it sound that they've got to create new names for it all the time, because I don't know, they feel that they have to, I guess.
Oh yeah, the genre names have gotten very strange over the years. Did you know yacht rock was a thing?
Only because of Spotify, I saw that. I'm like, what is yacht rock?
Yacht rock, yeah. It's all those kind of things that you're going to listen to if you're on a yacht, but it's quintessentially for I think they put it down as like middle-aged yuppies with a file of fax and a mobile phone.
That's pretty much what I pictured. I pictured a bunch of guys with like sweater vests, or not even like just the sweaters where like the arms are draped over them.
Yeah, dressed like Miami Vice with their canvas shoes on, sipping on.
And you're like, you know who really rocks? Air Supply. Like, I don't know.
Oh God, yeah, they drawing a blank again. Give me one of them. Give me one of the
Air Supply.
Yeah.
I'm All Out of Love.
Yes, obviously. Yeah. Sorry. Damn it. Oh, so you can tell, can't you? I'm not even with it today.
I would never remember that if it wasn't for the Saturday Night Live sketches, honestly. So.
Oh, and it's used in so many things as well. It's just all over the place. But yeah,
but anyway, those are my key influences. As I go from that, I dabble a lot. Like I've said this many times, Sean Morgan from Seether is probably one of my biggest influences. I'm influenced heavily by Breaking Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
Metallica has always been an inspiration. I think for the most part, I think if you're in the metal genre in any way, shape, or form, and Metallica's not mentioned somewhere in your list of influences, you're lying.
Yeah.
You know, at least by proxy anyway. I think James Hetfield is probably one of the greatest frontmen of all time, especially with his live presence. And that's the majority of where my influence comes from, even though no one's really had the chance to see that as part of 12 Years Today, because we've never played a live show yet. But in the past, that's where I would draw most of my influence from, is from James Hetfield.
We'll get on to another question based on what you just said in just a second.
Jay.
So, oh, there you go.
Yes.
Wait, did the wife bring it in? Because I didn't see that.
She's quiet as a mouse.
That was awesome. Sleight of hand.
Do you know what? I'm gonna have to text mine now.
Do it.
Right. Sorry. Go on, Jay. Yeah, seriously. Your influences.
I would say 90s country music.
Really?
Yeah. And then start of high school, someone gave me a burned copy of Slipknot's self-titled 99 album, and then that put me on the path. I started drumming, and that's it. So the new metal era,
a drastic shift, isn't it?
Yeah, but
country to Slipknot. I mean,
yeah, but
I can't judge. I mean, like I say, I grew up thinking the 80s was just all about pop music.
Right.
The 90s was R&B, and when we got to the 2000s, it was club tunes and the occasional like rap metal track, you know, and things. That's the kind of things I did. You do tend to do that, but so yeah, I can't judge country to thing. I mean, country's never really gotten very big in the UK. I'm not going to speak for the entire.
Yeah,
UK.
that's more of a US thing, right?
It is, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm telling you though, man. That's that was my big thing. It was like, Alan Jackson and Clint Black and stuff like that. Honestly. And then hey, shout out to your wife.
Yeah, shout out to the wife. Thank you, dear. Thanks, love you too.
Oh geez, I didn't even get one of those. She just she handed me mine and rolled her eyes and walked away.
Could have been worse.
I believe that. I'm picturing that right now.
She did have a smirk on her face with so but anyway. But yeah, Slipknot put me on the new metal train.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of divvied off from there.
Well, what I'll do very quickly and just say, for the sake of argument, seeing as I'm not the only one having a beer here, I'm going to have a beer with the lads.
Nice.
So.
I will add to what Jay said, just with really narrowing it down. Metallica did for me what Slipknot did for him. I was quite young when Metallica kind of came into my life, so I also was like heavily influenced by country in a sense, because country was a big thing.
Yeah.
In my household, my mother listened to a lot of country, basically the same stuff that Jay just mentioned: Clint Black, Alan Jackson, Lori Morgan, Pam Tillis, things like that. And it's just part of your upbringing. I mean, aside from that, like Phil Collins was like probably like one of the first things that I listened to. Like I think his But Seriously record was the first album I got on my own, aside from listening to what my parents were listening to. But Metallica put me on the path. Same as Jay said.
Speaking of Phil Collins, I guess it's not Phil Collins, it's Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer. Okay, yeah. So if you YouTube Harry Styles doing it with one of his bands on the Howard Stern show, they kill it.
Really?
Sledgehammer
kills it. I'm
down with seeing that.
I watch it often. Like, super good.
I think, unfortunately, I've got nothing against Harry Styles as a person, but I think it's just the whole One Direction thing. The boy band created from the reality TV genre thing has never grabbed me at all.
Yeah, same.
So
yeah, but I don't think it was supposed to, because you're not a 14-year-old girl.
Thing is, yeah, the cool thing about those bands is that there seems to be one in every boy band that kind of branches out on their own, and you can kind of see that it appears that they were like the biggest talent in that band, right? Like such as Harry Styles. You look at like JT, right, from NSYNC.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Things like that, right? It's
that guy has more talent than a human being is allowed to have.
Yeah, big time,
honestly.
But yeah,
my wife's gonna roll her eyes right now.
Justin Timberlake is about to come on. No, unfortunately, he can't make it today, but he was going to come on and tell us that we.
You know what? It would not be the first time Justin Timberlake inserted himself in the middle of something rock. All right. I don't know if you're privy to, what was this, 2004, when we had our SARS stock, as they called it.
As if I called him JT. How dare I call him like I know him?
I just thought it was big. It was just out of love, to be honest.
Yeah.
But,
fair enough. That's kind of what it was.
JT, that's fine. We'll just go there.
Yeah.
Was part of a giant music festival that we had in Toronto back in 2004 when that first big SARS outbreak had happened. And it was like a benefit concert, which is funny when you consider where we're at today and how we dealt with that was by having a giant concert with about 100,000 people all shoulder to shoulder. So that was funny. But it was all like classic rock bands. It was like Rush and AC/DC, the Rolling Stones were the headliners. I think Triumph, like all kinds of bands like that. And then Justin Timberlake. And it was just, he took a lot of heat. He took a lot of heat for that. But like, I gave him props because it was like, good for you for just wanting to be a part of that. Right. Yeah. He got on stage with the Rolling Stones and I think he got booed pretty hard, but like, I felt bad for the guy.
And like, chances are he didn't want to do that.
You don't think so?
Chances are he was told to.
Who would make that decision for him though? They're just like, hey, we have all these 70s era rock bands and we think you'd be a perfect fit.
Yeah, someone who owns him via contract.
Probably.
That's who.
Kind of like what's his name? Was it Chris Martin of Coldplay? Is it Chris Martin of Coldplay?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he did Super Bowl halftime show with Bruno Mars and Beyonce and looked completely.
Yeah, that's kind of random.
Not there. I mean, he did one of their biggest songs. I can't remember what the hell it was, but then on come Beyonce and then on come thing, and he looked like the middle class white guy completely out of like, where did you come from? So,
he looked like a fan that was out for a walk.
He was. Yeah. Hello, Beyonce. Thank you for inviting me. I've got a song. It's great. You'll like this.
Maybe he lost a bet. I don't know.
Maybe.
You know what though? But he was there representing the UK, right?
Yep.
It's all good. You know, and I mean, he's got to
hold Coldplay. People like old.
No,
school,
I won't like
OG Coldplay.
Yeah,
they've got a couple cool couple tunes, man.
They featured quite a lot on my last show actually.
I'm not into like the more poppy kind of stuff, but
no, they've got some. Yeah, they've definitely got some. They've got some good. I mean, they are technically declared as a rock band when you
right
their genre, but and they do venture into the pop era, and they've got some very slow ballad style things and some beautiful piano.
They're very good at it though. Chris Martin is a phenomenal songwriter.
Absolutely, no, he is absolutely, yeah. Just wish his ex-wife now. You know, she's got weird candles that no one really wants to buy. Yeah.
No, apparently lots of people want to buy them. which I don't know what's weirder, her making them or people buying them. I'm not sure.
More to the point, I don't know what's more weird, actually, walking to someone's house going, why do I recognize that smell? And we all know what we're talking about here, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
No product placements here for any kind.
If you don't know what we're talking about, Google it.
Oh, dearie me. Yeah, we did say it's going to be a laugh, didn't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is interesting where both obviously your musical backgrounds come from, because like you say, James, yours was based on so yours was it all you, not influenced by your parents, not influenced by your friends, or it was or it wasn't, or
well, it started with my parents. When I first got introduced to heavier stuff, like, anything close to the metal genres. Like my cousins, they were listening to like Def Leppard and Motley Crue and stuff like that. And I never really fully gravitated to it, but at the same time I did, for the heavier aspect of it. It made me pay attention. But because of the era that was, like, that was probably the early 90s. So I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because that music was already like pretty well on its way out. And grunge was taking over, and a lot of metal bands.
Are we all relatively around the same age then? Just to clarify.
I'll be 40 next month. So yeah. Shit. I caught your thing. You said you were 41. Yeah, you're older than me.
Yeah.
But yes, essentially we're of the same era. So you can attest that, around 91, well, it's pretty well been fact now. 91 is when the music industry changed. Because shout out to a good Canadian historian, our own Alan Cross, had pointed out in one of his podcasts that the Nielsen thing took over in 91, and
same way they do the TV ratings.
Yeah, well, because how it used to be is they used to call into radio stations, well, I guess them too, but record stores.
Yeah.
And they'd say, like, how many copies of Bruce Springsteen's record did you sell this week? And they'd just say whatever. So if the person talking on the phone was a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, they just lie and say a lot. You know what I mean? Cheap. So if you ever go look at charts, because I'm a charts nerd, you'll see a vast difference between who was charting high on the rock charts in 1990 versus who was charting high on the rock charts in 1991. Once 91 came around, it was all about Metallica, the Chili Peppers, Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, and like all this, like the other guys didn't disappear, but they were getting trounced on hard, especially the hair metal bands. And I don't like using that term because I know it pisses a lot of people off.
Yeah.
But for the interest of knowing what we're talking about, bands like Poison and Def Leppard and Motley Crue and stuff like that. I mean, that was the beginning of the end for their time in the sun, so to speak. So that, to my point, I didn't pay that much attention to those bands. I was able to get on board with Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Metallica right away.
I've definitely gotten into the rock aspect of things a lot later on in life. Like I say, as a kid, I obviously listened to what my parents listened to, so we had a lot of things like the Kinks, the Animals. Obviously, you had the Beatles because everyone had played the Beatles. It's unfortunately by law you have to play them in the UK.
Absolutely.
Then they.
You know what? I'm just going to interrupt for a second, just because I don't know. I've always wanted to be in a position to do this, and because you're from the UK, I can really put you on the spot. Beatles or Rolling Stones?
No one's ever actually asked me that question.
Because they got to be the two most important bands with to do with rock, and
it is, but and
they're both from the UK, so this is fun.
God, how long have you got? The they've both got exceptionally good back catalogs. Beatles have a lot more upbeat kind of poppy rock that's more easy listening. I mean, a lot of the early stuff from the Rolling Stones was more covers of old blues stuff, and it never really quite come off quite well. A lot of people say Brown Sugar's one of their good tracks. I wouldn't say one of their best. I like Paint It Black, and I like what was that one I played on my show recently? Gimme Shelter's a fantastic track.
Yes.
But then that's because the Rolling Stones did a lot more things that the Beatles didn't. The Beatles were all like, things like I Want to Hold Your Hand, Love Me Do. And they didn't quite get into the things of let's do a song that's based on things that something like Gimme Shelter, which was about war and tyranny because of Vietnam and things like that. I think, you had things like Paperback Writer, and then they got into their more psychedelic thing. So they did split. So from let me see.
I feel like I know where you want to go, but you don't want to say it.
No, I'll do it. I'll tell you what. I'll hands down. I'll probably say. Oh, I don't know.
It's the Stones. Come on, it's the Stones.
We're gonna Jumping Jack Flash now. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg trying to learn the lyrics to Jumping Jack Flash in the film is just probably quintessentially the most funniest thing of the 80s, you know.
That was funny.
Mick, speak English. I was raised by two lesbians. So, yeah, okay. From a rock, if we're gonna be discussing it based on who would I go for out of the Beatles or the Stones, if we're talking about rock music, then it's the Stones.
Nice.
If we're talking about softer rock, more poppy kind of thing, then obviously it's the Beatles. They conquered the US.
I've always tried to think of it in this way. I think the Rolling Stones might be the most responsible for rock music and at its core, and the Beatles are more responsible for what we look at as alternative, like
alternative,
more folksy, more like
indie,
like the Coldplays and the U2s and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it anyway. I don't know, just a little side quest there. That was all. I always wanted to ask somebody like from the UK their opinion.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Between the Beatles and the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I mean, I
next week we'll talk about the Led Zeppelin versus Black Sabbath.
No. I say when I did say that I've gotten into rock again very late in life, it does mean I'm about 30 years behind everybody else. So
there you go.
Give me your favorite Black Sabbath song. Like, yeah, that would be and I'll go, that one. That's a good one. Yeah. So I listened to a lot of stuff from my parents, and my brother, 8 years older than me, he was into rap music. So I grew up listening to NWA, Public Enemy, Dr. Dre's early album, De La Soul, things like that. And then my sister, she liked Kylie Minogue back in the days of Stock Aitken and Walkman, and obviously pop music. So then I basically started picking up things like, you know, all the pop genre things, practically every goddamn thing that came on the radio. So yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Then you hit school and people start doing this, and it starts to fracture. Your friends start listening to one set of music, and you're lame for not listening to that set of music. So you start listening to that to think, oh, well, when I get with my friends, and you think this music's crap, and I don't know, but I've definitely got a lot more respect for the rock of the 80s and 90s now that I've done an entire, well, not saying an entire retrospect of it, but I've picked up a load of info on it over the last year. So
that's good.
It's great, and that's where it's got me here. It's got me here for this show, for this, and for you guys, which is fantastic, you know. So bringing it back round, awesome. So where are we up to? I need to get a quick sound bite for. Obviously, all this shit's going to be edited out when we put the video up. Need a quick sound bite for. Oh no, that was it. That was it. Yeah, we didn't actually get around to talk about it. So your early EP. This is it. See, I've gone completely blank. Jason looks completely confused.
No, I'm just
trying to work out what the hell I'm saying.
I'm just here.
Your early EP.
Stronger When You Fight.
Yeah. Because I was going to cheat and bring up Spotify while I'm chatting, but I can't do that without you not seeing that. And one of the tracks that we were discussing before was, I said Shadows, didn't I?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Shadows. Yeah. So we're gonna do a run back to that for the tilt your head back moment. So any quick run through about the track itself?
For Shadows, the only thing I can really say about it, and James can probably say a lot more about it, but from the music side of things, the guitar riff, if you want to call it, in the verses, in the intro, made that with a close friend of mine when we were like 17.
So it was in the bag for a while then.
Yeah, never used it for anything. Even the like all the guitar parts in the verse and the intro. That's from like when we were in high school.
Wow.
a friend of mine and I. That was around when I just started learning how to play guitar. So, and the guitar solo was done by another longtime friend. Because I'm not much of a guitar player, so I'm not really confident in my guitar solos or attempts to do so. So,
well, can't understand why not, because they do sound fantastic. So,
well, I appreciate it.
Yourself up a bit there, mate.
Yeah. So my my buddy came in and tracked the solo and was very, very happy with it. So when we play that song live, whether it be a live from the living room type deal or an actual live performance one day, he will be part of our group for sure.
Right. I was going to get to that.
We can go back to that after if you want.
Yeah, no, cool. So James, anything about the lyrics to Shadows that you want to mention?
Shadows is it's a bit more of a more uplifting kind of song. It definitely does stem from sorrow and bad things, but I guess it's kind of one of those light at the end of the tunnel kind of songs.
Yeah.
Where you have a foundation that you can fall back on and make you realize that not everything is dark and shitty. So
perfectly summed up that.
Yeah. And that's it. That's exactly what it's about. It's about just finding that thing to pull you out of the dark, man. That's what it is.
Right. So now we're going to listen to Shadows by 12 Years Today. And then that'll play and it'll all sound cool. And then we'll come back into the interview.
Radio magic.
It is, yes, fantastic. So we've touched upon it twice. And it was something that I thought about recently when I was coming up with these questions. The two of you being a duo, you've got a singer-songwriter and you've got a guitarist and a drummer. Clearly, when it comes to something like a live show, you're going to need session musicians. So obviously, you've already got somebody in mind. Then you've got your.
Yeah, we have a couple of our friends that are kind of willing and able whenever that time comes.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty easy transition, I think, because they're familiar with our songs.
Good.
They can play them. Actually, in fact, the person I was talking about earlier with the guitar solo in Shadows, he's actually a bass player.
All right.
He plays everything, but he's more of a bass player, and he would likely be playing bass live for us. He and I play bass very similar. So kind of the right fit for sure.
Excellent. So do you think there's going to be any kind of live from the living rooms or anything soon that will be showing up?
Yeah,
now the restrictions are starting to lift.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're lifting here, but
it's actually we're
going backwards, man.
We're going backwards right now, but
we're in the middle of a month-long lockdown right now.
Yeah. We apparently come out tomorrow, being April 12th.
Nice.
So if you're listening to this, I'm going to edit this bit out. Fuck it. I said we weren't going to talk about it, didn't I? We're not talking about the C word.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
We did. We already mentioned the C word when we said candle, didn't we?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I think. I think it's worth saying that we are planning to do something this year for sure. Whether that materializes or not, I mean, we're confident that it will.
Good.
But we've had a few plans that have been kind of cut that have been out of our control. So
yeah, no, it's one of those things, though, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, everyone seems to have been suffering from the same issue last year and currently as the days progress and the months continue on and it looks like nothing's happening. But on the plus side, yourself, a lot of artists doing independent stuff from their own homes with their own computers have been bringing out absolutely brilliant music. So it hasn't dwindled. I mean, it's just this week for putting episode 2 of TiLt on. I had like 30 tracks. I'd have whittled down to 22, and then I found 3 more that I thought great. So I bumped some, and then that's why I haven't put the list up yet, because it's like I did the stupid thing of putting up here's what I'm going to play on the first episode. Like I did that a month in advance, and then kicked 3 of them off and didn't say anything. I wonder if they are actually still following me on Twitter, but it's one of those things, isn't it? That's the way it works. But yeah, so April 30th. Let's talk about April 30th, shall we? What's coming out?
Well, it's the date before my birthday.
Ooh. When you'll become the same age as me.
Yes. I enter a new era of my life that I'm looking forward to. But anyway.
41's not that bad, mate. It's the same as 40, just your waist is wider. At least
what is happening April 30th, Jay?
New music.
Yeah.
Hashtag
we're gonna
music.
We're gonna unveil something new on the world. See what I did there?
You did.
I saw what you did.
Yeah. So what you did.
But for the listeners that you would like to have continue to follow you through social media and through the online musical platforms, what's the name of the track coming about? Are we allowed to know?
Unveiled is the name of the song.
That was because I already knew that. I was just making sure that they knew that.
Yeah. I think it's on. I think the name of it is on the teaser that we released.
It is. Yeah, on the second teaser. Yes.
Yes, on the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got roasted pretty hard for not being part of the first teaser. The first teaser was all instrumental, which I thought was fucking brilliant. To be honest with you, I liked that I wasn't part of that. It was literally just that was the epitome of a teaser. And then especially how we had the date come up at the very end. I was like, yes, let's do this. Let's put this out there.
Yeah,
and everybody was excited, but then they're like, wait, where's the lyrics? It was like, here we go.
You don't need it. It's a teaser of a teaser. They do it with trailers all the time. Here's teaser 1, here's teaser 2, and here's the full trailer. And so, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the first Transformers movie was all like something in space and then like the Transformer symbol, and that was it. Coming soon.
Optimus Prime said one line, and everyone's like,
"Oh, I know that guy." Yeah. So, but anyway, we got the second one out there now, and it's that's about as solid as a teaser as you get. It's got everything in there, and it's causing a stir. I like it.
I jumped the gun on the first teaser. I must admit, I basically said, "Oh my god, what's this? When's it coming out?" I'd actually typed that before I'd actually finished listening to the 15 seconds, and then jumped up, so I deleted.
But it was like April 30th. Yeah. No, it's people seem really excited.
Kind of a new avenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the next things you start hearing from us is going to be the evolution of 12 years today. It might be the best way to put it.
Cool. So 3 EPs. Will the 3 EPs become a greatest hits album, or will you leave it at that, or will you integrate any of your original work into your first album? And if so, is there going to be a debut album, and when? And I'm looking, Jason's got a little wink, tinkle in his eye thing. I think he's got an idea that there's an album due, maybe.
No, you just gave me an idea, actually.
Yeah. Put my name on the album.
No,
fine. I'll just leave then. Go.
No, we will be doing no such thing with regards to redoing songs, bringing old songs up to the debut album or anything like that. No greatest hits, nothing like that. There is a 4th EP in the works.
Good.
We had a goal to release 2 EPs in 2021. So our third one we released earlier this year.
Yep.
We're planning on releasing another one before the end of the year. However, I know we weren't going to talk about it, but depending on how this whole lockdown thing goes, if I find myself doing a little bit more writing than I had planned, there could be an album that comes out of it.
Is it just going to be the two of you? Do you think you're going to get any of the? I mean, do you guys do you chat with any of the other bands in the area, local bands, or being within the independent music genre? And obviously you're on Twitter a lot. Do you converse with other bands? Has anyone come to you with an idea of, hey, maybe we should team up, do a track, this and that?
Nothing so much in terms of we should team up and do a track, but we're definitely in touch with other bands. I know I myself, I pride myself on trying to talk to other bands.
Yeah.
There's a thing that I've said a few times over social media, especially with being in the underground, being indie. When one of us makes it, we all make it. We're pretty tight with Chasing Records. They're also from Ontario here.
They're good. I've got them on episode 2.
Yeah, they're only a few hours from us. So we've talked about some things. I mean, at least getting together and jamming or something like that in the summertime. We mentioned that on our last podcast, which was with them. We had them. They were our first actual guests. But there's another great band, Dichroma, out of Toronto. There's a lot of music in Toronto, more than I could mention, because I mean that's the big city, right?
Yeah.
But as far as local, like right here type idea, like I honestly don't know any other bands in this area. It's kind of funny when you consider what we consider success in terms of people listening to our music, sharing it, streaming it, whatnot. Our fan base here at home, like by definition, is pretty small.
Yeah, on paper, I mean, our listeners are mainly United States, UK,
yeah,
and then Canada.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty sure it's exactly in that order too, right?
No, it is, yeah.
Yeah. And we've stated this many times,
which is totally fine. We're totally happy
awesome.
with that.
It's totally awesome. I've stated this time and time again. I am very humbled and grateful for the attention we've been getting there in the UK. The UK has started to feel almost
like way more like welcoming and like open to like a wider genre of rock music.
That is very true.
And the networking that goes on in the UK it's incredible. It's
unreal.
It's for sure given us just that jump,
that nudge.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's actually, I mean, it might sound corny, like it's given us the feeling like, hey, like people give a shit, people are listening, like let's keep going, really. And that's a lot of that stems from the UK.
That is fantastic.
Truly.
Yeah. I mean,
I've mentioned before, maybe people are aware of this too, like our friend Kaz over at the Heavy Rock Show gave us our first taste of radio. And a lot of our radio play has been in the UK, second and only to the US. We've had some key spots here in Canada, like KB Radio over in London, where we've got our friendly little war going with Chasing Records over the #1 spot.
Really?
They're number 1 on the top 25 countdown right now. We're number 2.
Yeah, that's the one I voted for, wasn't it? Was that?
I hope so.
That was with Debt of Sin in that.
Yes, Debt of Sin. Yeah,
you got my vote.
Thanks.
Earlier you were like, oh, I don't want to kiss your guy's ass, but like straight up, not trying to kiss your ass, but shout out to you for all your support too.
Yeah, man.
We really see it. We appreciate it. And
it's one of the reasons I was really looking forward to this was because we've been networking and kind of chit chatting for quite a little while now. And you've been very supportive.
Yeah. I bumped your Debt of Sin onto the 2020 episode of decades rock history. So you
did, and that's awesome. Like you threw us on to like the greatest of a decade. Like that's awesome, man. Like I'll never forget that.
It was absolutely worthy of it. So
thank you.
I mean, we ourselves, we're not the biggest of stations, Indie Rocks Radio. We are online at the moment, but we are picking up steam. We've got about 21 different shows on here at the moment, and we do play all over the world. I say you say yourself on paper, your numbers aren't that great when it comes to this, that, and the other. But when you see where you're reaching as opposed to how many, it is incredible. I mean, I've got some of my shows go out to about 14, 15 different countries on the Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and that's 6 o'clock our time, which means obviously you guys will be hearing it at 1 p.m. I've got people in America that'll be tuning in at 11 a.m. So it is difficult in that sense when because of the way the world is and the time zones. But I think I'm starting to think less about, at least lately, I'm starting to think less about, I'm being less concerned about success and numbers as opposed to just doing what you like. And if people listen and they respond and you hear and you get the feedback, then you've done it. You've got where you need to be.
That's exactly how we feel, man. That's exactly how we are with this band. And we've already accomplished a lot of the things we wanted to, believe it or not.
And that's what's great about the
we've never had or ever will have an intention of making a living at this. We got jobs, we got families.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is something that just we want to do.
Yeah.
And the feedback and the support and the community, the networking.
That's what's made this.
It's all awesome.
Yeah. That's what's made this so special, is because this was never intended to be an attempt at anything.
Even this, right? Like this, like I didn't expect us to be on, a handful of podcasts, looking at starting our own, continuing to release music. Like I for sure, like after our second EP, I was like, we'll see. And now it's just like there's this fire that it's just like keep going. And then we wanted to release this new single, and it's like, anyway.
Yeah, great. I mean, that's thing. One of the things I've noticed is like the independent music scene, the artists and the small bands that have like 20 followers, and if they're making good music and you're letting them know they make good music, they respond as well. I've got bands that are now following me, and it's kind of weird because like this is technically my third attempt at Twitter. The first one was just me coming on, like following celebrities just to see what they're up to and then shit posting, as you do. Then I basically lost that account because I think I told David Cameron at the time we're not going to talk about politics, but let's just say I shouldn't have said something to the then Prime Minister of the UK on Twitter. So I was banned from that account. The second one, I just basically went on for the sake of, I'm not going to do anything with this account. I'm just going to basically keep up with some gaming news. And then that certainly turned into another shit posting account. And it just became so bloody toxic. And I thought, right, third time lucky, Rich on the radio. It's all about the music. It's all about the independent artists. It's all about listening, finding new bands, listening to new music, discussing and everything. And it's fantastic. The Twitter community is great. Just things like hashtag New Music Friday, hashtag New Music Monday, hashtag Hump Wednesday Music.
Yep.
Just apart from the exceptionally annoying and frustrating "I need new music" tweets that everyone hates.
Yeah, I'm not sure what those are all about.
I don't see them anymore. I've got them blocked. I don't see them. It's just it's bot accounts. It's people sending them. It frustrates me because you get like guys like yourself and a lot of independent artists are like, oh, if I send my link to this account, they'll retweet it. And it's like, but no one's listening. It's a bot account. No one gives a shit. They just want traffic. And it annoys me because there's no comeback for it. And
the good news is it doesn't take very long for you to spot those. And,
exactly.
You see the red flags and you just, okay, and you just ignore it. Right.
But this in the past 6 weeks, with closing down Decades Rock History and starting up this one, the amount of new bands I've got following me and the music that's coming through listening, it's absolutely incredible. And I was doing obviously TiLt is music from an alternative angle.
I can't hold it anymore. I got to pee. I'll be right back.
Go. TiLt being music from alternative angle, so I'm going for the alt rock and things like that. But we've decided, well, I say we, the wife has decided I should stick with the rock genre, because obviously after doing Decades Rock History, she's noticed that I've picked up a lot of great bands from the past, and it is true. It's a great musical genre. Rock's fantastic, and
I got into this. You're talking about like Twitter and having former accounts because you just end up shit talking, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been a few posts over the last little bit about people with big followings. I won't name names. Basically, shit talking rock music these days and bands in general, saying like, "Where are the bands?" and all that sort of thing. And that sparks a very heated debate, and obviously rock bands themselves and people who love rock bands get really pissed off about it because it's very insulting. Like, where are all the bands? And it's just like, well, we're not mainstream right now. Rock music, hard rock, whatever it is, we're not mainstream, and that's fine. Like,
and that's why you have your own. That's why you have your own separate things. Like US and Canada, you've got your rock radio, you've got your hard rock, you've got your how many other rock are there? There's
millions. There's so many. I could spend a whole hour listing them all off. But
the UK rock and metal album charts, UK rock and metal singles.
It's the same in North America, like the Billboard charts.
Yeah.
You've got the Hot 100, which can be anything, but primarily we all know it's pop music or hip hop for the most part.
Or right? anything that's got loads of money thrown at it. Let's face it.
Sure, but I mean, as far as rock music is concerned, generally the only thing that makes it that high doesn't fit a lot of people's definition of rock music. It may fit some and may technically fall under that genre, but it kind of barely squeaks in, so to speak. But there's charts specifically for that, and that's fine.
Yeah. Let's not forget as well, though, that they still base quite a lot of the chart placings based on physical sales.
But there's that, and it is what it is. But it's always been like that, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. Like rock music, whether it's basic rock or hard rock or metal or whatever, its big mainstream time in the sun like was a long time ago. You know what I mean? And it wasn't when Kiss was a thing. So whatever Gene Simmons wants to say about it, it was long after that. Bands like Korn and the Deftones and stuff like that, and even Limp Bizkit, say what you will about them. I mean, they were bringing rock music back into the mainstream quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then that phased out after a little while. And rock has been for the last, I don't even know how long, quite a while, living a comfortable life in the underground where, I don't know whether it's like where we belong or what the case is, but like, I can't speak for Jay. I can't speak for the other bands and all that sort of thing. I don't really give a shit if rock music is mainstream. I don't care if the number one song in the Hot 100 is a metal song. I mean, it'd be cool if it was, but I have no delusions that that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Can I interrupt for a sec?
Yeah.
Go.
Shout out to the feeling you get after you pee when you've been holding it in after having 2 cups of coffee and a tall boy of beer.
I will drink to that.
Yeah, I'll do it too. Yeah.
Amen, boys.
I'm going to probably be next, but
it was the best.
Yeah, to the point that I was saying.
Go for a bottle underneath your table and just do it next time.
Yeah,
I'll have a piss jug here.
Yeah.
Just to my point about shit talking.
Don't drink from the jug.
Rock music. If you're gonna go on social media and shit talk anything, be prepared to get your ass handed to you by the people who are gonna defend that to the end. And in rock music, I have always found to be one of those things where if you attack rock music or fans of rock music, you will probably fucking regret that really fast.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's evident if you look at those posts by some people who are like, where are all the rock bands? Where's all the rock music and stuff? They get roasted pretty hard.
Yeah.
And the quick answer to it too is we're right here. We've always been here.
We're always here.
You know what I mean? And we'll continue to be here. And whether we're in the mainstream or not, that's up to a bunch of corporate suits, man. And and it does have a lot to do with what the youth of today are listening to.
Yeah.
But when I was a teenager, they were listening to hip hop and pop music too. So it doesn't make a difference. I've made my peace with that in terms of what's mainstream and what isn't. Exactly. Rock doesn't need to be mainstream. It probably shouldn't be mainstream.
I think it sits better as not, because the funny thing about anything that hits mainstream tends to get tiresome relatively quick.
Exactly. Like, rock music has never been a trend. Rock music, like as cheesy as this sounds, rock music is forever. And I heard somebody say something about the reason why rock music isn't more popular or whatever is because it's never evolved. It continues to evolve, but it doesn't have to evolve in a sense where rock music sounds so much different, like a complete 180-degree turn from what it sounded like 10 years ago.
Exactly.
It doesn't need to.
I'd be intrigued to find out what whoever said that is actually listening to.
Well, exactly. Because there's so many multi-genres of rock, like we've talked about, that there's something out there for everyone.
Yeah.
So if you want a band that still sounds like the 70s, there's tons of new bands that still sound like that. There's bands that still sound like.
I don't mind that. It's good when you've got a band. It's like you'll be playing a band. It's like, oh, they've released a new track and it's like out April 2021. You play it and like, my God, listen to that. It's like 70s that. But it's great because it's like listening to it for the first time and saying, oh, it sounds like the 70s, but in 2021 I'm thinking, well, I wasn't even alive in the 70s, but hey, this would sound great.
Yeah. And things need to evolve. I understand that. And arguably rock has evolved in this to another point with different artists at the helm. And that's up to, I don't know, whoever makes those decisions. If you want to call it rock, if you don't want to call it rock, whatever. The point is that there's always something out there for everybody. And when you like a certain genre within the rock community, like if that's what you're into, it doesn't need to evolve for you because that's what you like. I'm not going to stop liking the things that I like about rock music because it sounded that way for 10 years. You know what I mean? I want it to sound that way. Look at AC/DC. AC/DC's never evolved because they never needed to.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? Their latest record that they put out at the end of last year sounds
exactly the same.
You don't even have to wait for Brian. Yeah. I know what you mean. You don't have to even have to wait for Brian Johnson to start singing. Like the first 10 seconds of an AC/DC song, you're like, yep, that's AC/DC.
Exactly.
You know it.
It's a trademark, isn't it?
Exactly. And why should that change?
Exactly.
Why should AC/DC be putting out stuff with dubstep in it? Probably not.
Oh my!
You know what I mean?
But
there's plenty of other artists and other bands that are doing things differently, and they're either successful with it or they're not.
Yeah.
And that's just that. That's the thing about where are all the rock bands? The people who are asking that are wondering what happened to all those 80s rock bands. And that's just simply referring to a time when that was mainstream. Now it's not. But those bands are still here.
Yeah.
And they've influenced others.
Exactly.
So it's just a ridiculous statement.
Because they don't do it with anything else, do they?
No. Yeah, where's all the country bands? Like they don't say that because it's there.
Actually, that's actually a little bit false because country now there's that whole side of things like country's just pop music now, right?
Yeah.
It's just like what happened to country because country has evolved.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I am for sure one of those people that's like, that's not real country, that's bullshit. That's for sure me, right?
But that didn't just start either. I mean, you had people like we mentioned her before, our very own Shania Twain, like was paving the way for stuff like that back in the 90s.
It's true. Yeah, it's very true.
With that pop sound or whatever. And I don't know, I have noticed in the last 10 years, give or so, a lot more country fans out there than I remember when I was growing up. It's a lot more mainstream, if we're going to keep using that word, and that's fine. That's cool. And 10 years from now, it'll be something else. Maybe it'll be rock. Maybe we'll head back to techno again. I don't know.
I've noticed some, just to not to jump in and interrupt. I've noticed one of the things that if I head back to when I was doing Decades Rock History, there seems to be, you're talking about how things evolve over a decade. It's more like 7 years. It's got a really weird thing, because I think we worked it out as we got to I think by the time we got to the 1991 show, it was like when I did that 1991 show, which was the one that had the Show Must Go On, because obviously that was the year we lost Freddie Mercury. And then we headed to 1998, and that was a good run. Then 2005, and it was like I said to the wife, I said, this is really weird, because like every 7 years, the music that comes on is just really, really good. And it's weird because it is like a 7 year gap. So yeah, it does happen. Things do evolve, but it doesn't necessarily have to be over 10 years. And when after doing a retrospective of rock history like that, you can see how it progresses, but how things still also stay the same. And I know what you're saying about those.
I know exactly what you're saying too.
Yeah. And I know what you're saying about people say, where are these rock bands? It's like, well, if you consider somebody from my perspective, I grew up listening to pop music with my brother on rap, the parents on the old style UK rock. And it wasn't until now that I started to go back and I realized that, there was rock all through the 80s and 90s. And I think people need to sit down and then realize that, the charts are not the be all and end all of music.
No.
And I must admit, it's taken me until doing this show, working on the radio here for Indie Rocks, that's the thing. Because I'll be honest, I've not even really kept up with the charts in the last 15 years. Once I got MP3s and things like that, and when you could have everything on your phone, I set up my own playlists for things I liked. Never even to put a radio station on. 9 times out of 10, if you put a radio station on, you get 3.5 hours of someone talking about their cornflakes. And it's like, just play the fucking song, Chris Moyles. Sorry, Chris, if you're listening, but Jesus Christ, just play the music. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I'm with you. I agree.
That's not an Indie Rocks response. That's just mine. That's just my views.
My opinions are my own.
Opinions are my own, and the rest of the UK.
I agree, though, and I find that that's a much more prevalent thing on the indie rock scene. I follow what's mainstream in rock.
Yeah,
mainly just to know. But what I've noticed since we really started promoting ourselves heavily on social media as an indie band is you're going to find whatever you want in the indie rock scene. It's all out there.
Yep.
And I've known this, and I know Jay's known this, like just from years of playing in bands, how much like fucking great music there is out there that's not getting heard.
Yeah.
So much of it out there.
That's the thing.
And that's the great thing about all the, like, you're a small indie radio station, but there's a lot of small indie radio stations, and that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Because I've met a lot of people who primarily want to listen to indie music because they want to know what else is out there that's not getting played, on mainstream radio.
I think people still are stuck with the fact that they believe indie itself is a genre, when in fact in technicality isn't. It's short for the independent. It's for people that self-produce their own stuff. So
yes, it's the same with pop music. Pop music is technically not supposed to be a genre. It's just literally what is popular.
Yeah.
But it kind of morphed into, when you say pop music, you think of a certain style. And yeah, indie kind of went along with that. A lot of people say indie and they think, oh, you're like folksy, a lot of acoustic, lighthearted type stuff.
the Lumineers, that's what people think.
Yes.
Music or Mumford and Sons and things like that.
And it's not, because there are plenty of indie, death grinder metal bands out there, like just to say that, like it's across all genres. Indie is indie, right?
Yeah. So who are you guys currently listening to?
Go, Jay.
Oh, geez. Let me pull up my Spotify. It might I'm gonna sound like such a shit talker here. I've been I've been on a big Metallica kick lately. I don't know why. Just like from interviews to their like obviously Justice has been on repeat.
Yeah.
I'm making my singer proud right now, I'm sure.
You are. I am so
proud. Fire from the Gods.
Yes, they're on my list a lot too.
So good.
Was it you guys that pulled up Dearly Departed recently, or was that Weekend Picnic? In fact, to be honest, was it Weekend? I think I found Weekend Picnic through you guys. I'm sure it was.
That's possible. They're on our
radio.
They're on
right?
our Spotify radio. Yeah.
Because their debut album's fantastic. They recently posted up saying, give a shout out to our dear friends, Dearly Departed, who have actually got a track out on the 20th of April.
Okay.
I'm not promoting them on this particular.
That's fine.
I'm just saying, but
I've got a lot of indie on my playlist lately.
Yeah.
Not by accident, like completely on purpose, because made the effort to talk with a lot of these bands, get to know a lot of these bands, and I use our radio on Spotify as a means to understand what else our fans are listening to.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be doing us any favors if I didn't check out a lot of those bands. And I mean, and I did that a long time ago, and that's how I found Weekend Picnic. Suffer the Silence has got to be one of my favorite songs I've heard this year. Same with the Failsafe, Come and Go. That's on my repeat list all the time.
They're on episode 2 as well.
Etched in Embers, I listen to them all the time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Solid band. Chasing Records, obviously, we've been listening to them quite a bit.
Who's Lonely Now is what I've got playing episode.
Yes. Mason Hill. I discovered Mason Hill. Against the Wall is a fucking great song. I can't stop listening to that.
Have you read my list for episode 2?
I don't know. Did you find all these bands from me, from us? I don't know.
Possibly. I don't know. Mason Hill, Against the Wall.
These are all great bands. And I mean,
Enough to Live, Late Night Savior in the Veer Union, Going Numb, Throw the Fight.
Any one of these bands could hang with what's being played on mainstream right now.
Yeah, because
whatever the difference maker with that is, whether it's like who you know, or how much money did you pay, or how much exposure did you get, I don't know. But a lot of these bands definitely need to be heard.
And I'm hoping that's what I'm doing. I'll tell you what. Here's something that you may, however you take this. I'll be interested to see how you actually take this, to be honest. So obviously, 2 of my biggest followers for my show obviously are my parents. They're both in their 70s now, and I've noticed the weird thing is I came to this conclusion today of all things, that of all the years I've tried to relate to my dad about certain things. I couldn't get into snooker with him. I couldn't get into badminton. I couldn't get into tennis. I couldn't get into sports, basically. I tried films and all that, and it wasn't that great. I started doing amateur dramatics, and he really liked that, and it was good. But since I've been doing this and he listens, last week, episode 1, I played a couple of tracks. He's now listening to those bands on Spotify. Nice. He's also now following because you've listened to this, you may enjoy this. So he's actively seeking out new music in his 70s.
That's awesome.
And I think, I mean, it sounds daft. So I literally put a comment up the other day on Twitter saying, I think it was to Storm of Crows. I said, my mum thinks you're great. She goes, oh, well, she's obviously got good taste. Well, she has. And I think it's weird because now you're realizing that, all right, so maybe that's only 2 people, but that's cross-generational, which is something that's hard to do with practically any other genre except music, in my opinion, at least. I mean,
I can agree with that. Sure.
It's like if I watched, I can't really watch a horror film and then say to my mum, "Hey, look at this." She'll be like, "I don't want to watch that." But you play a track and say, "Listen to this," she'll at least listen. So I've sent her your music through Spotify, so she's been listening to that, and
that's awesome. That's really cool.
That's the great thing, because like I say, Doreen, who got me onto this before, she's older than me.
Shout out to Doreen, man.
Yeah, shout out to Doreen.
Doreen's hardcore. I love
Doreen. She supports music. It's not just she supports us. Like she
absolutely does.
But she supports music, and you know what? It seems like a lot of our core fans, I guess you can call it, and all that stuff, like they're music supporters.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And like going back to like chasing records, I feel like we bring these guys up on every podcast that we're on, but I mean it's
You're
true
welcome.
though. Like, yeah, really. But
we get $5 for every time we're mentioning records.
Well, man. We will be now, yeah, for sure. Just gave me an idea.
They're Canadian dollars. They're not worth much.
Also true.
So true.
But no, like for example, we have some of the people who like our fans who listen to our music, which is clearly not the same genre at all that Chasing Records is, but you have these same people like supporting them, right? It's awesome. Like you don't see as much of excuse me.
I'll give you 7 out of 10 for
that. I'm trying to be polite. If you want a 10 out of 10, I can give you a 10 out of 10. Well, I can give you a 12 out of 10 here.
Maybe by the end.
Yeah.
James is the vocalist. He should be doing that.
He can't. He's not that great.
I'm really not. No.
But like I was saying, it's just my point is that it's not. I only listen to this genre, and I could give a shit about these genres, right? Doing yourself a bit of a disservice by being so closed-minded like that, right? I mean,
not really. I mean, that's the thing about music. You like what you like. No one's going to demand you listen to stuff.
For sure. But my point is that like there are people, because I've been guilty of this myself, especially growing up. Like, when I was a metalhead, I stopped listening to country. I stopped looking for new music. I didn't give a shit. Right. Where when I started opening the door and allowing myself to listen to different kinds of music, I realized how much I was missing out on.
Exactly.
Right. So
I'm the same, mate. It's that you actually feel kind of guilty for what you've missed out on.
Right.
I can relate to that. Yeah. You turn into a bit of a music snob, and then you end up looking back going like, how did I not hear that song? It's like, oh, that's right, because I was only listening to metalcore and nothing else.
Yep.
And listen, if you're like super into only one genre and you truly, you check in other music and it's like, I still don't like that kind of stuff.
That's fine.
That, totally cool. Nothing wrong with that. Right. But anyway.
No, I get your point. I absolutely do get your point. I mean, like I say, James said it himself. We're both guilty of that. You like what you like, and then later on down the line, you actually pick up something and think, do you know what? Yeah, that is good. Case in point, I brought it up on my last on the last episode of Decades Rock History. My parents listened to a group called Barclay James Harvest when I was growing up, and I absolutely hated it. It was just constantly played. It's the reason I probably went deaf, because I had to put my headphones on and listen to the Prodigy in the back of the car. But you go back and you listen to the music now, and you can, you listen to the lyrics. The lyrics are dated, but they're not bad. And the music's good. It's catchy. It's decent rock, and the guitar riffs in it are fantastic. And I was like that. I never thought I'd be saying that about Barclay James Harvest, but
I was like that with Neil Young. Like my dad would listen to Neil Young, and I'd be like, I hate that guy. And that was like my exact word. Like I was, a kid, but I was like, I hate that guy. I hate that guy. And now I listen to it now, I'm like, this is actually really good. There's some really good tracks here.
I think it's down to age as well, though, isn't it? When you're younger, you tend not to listen. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's gonna be my next point. Like,
Yeah.
I can go back even to stuff that that I was a fan of in high school. So like I was really into black metal, in like 10th grade, 11th grade, like really into it. And so like even stuff like that, years go by where you don't listen to something,
Mm-hmm.
and then you revisit it, and you hear things that you didn't back then, and it's almost like hearing it for the first time again.
Yeah.
Right. It's really cool. It's that's like a whole other side to music, is like,
it's timeless. I've said it many times. Music is timeless, and the slogan for indie rocks, as you can probably see here, is discover something new. But that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be new.
That's right.
Something
something new to you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I did it. I've done it for an entire year. Gone back, listened to some incredible songs. 6 for that one. Giving you some incredible songs, and it's everything that I could have been listening to back then, and just completely just ignored because, it was uncool in my group of friends to be listening to this and that. I mean, as the daft it sounds, what my mates didn't listen to, Nirvana. So I never listened to Nirvana. I think it was basically, oh, have you heard that Nirvana track? Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah, that's not bad. What did you say? I said, yeah, that was crap. I prefer Weird Al Yankovic's version. that's how it was. That's how it was.
You and my kid would get along then too, because he likes Weird Al's version too.
I like writing parodies, to be honest. I can do those. I can't write lyrics for anything. You give me an original song, I can usually write a parody about it. But Weird Al's done it, so there's no point. He's the king of parody. I can't take that crown.
Yeah, but he's slowing down. So I mean, there's a void opening up, Rich. There's
maybe
there's room. There's room there.
Singing voice isn't as strong as it used to be, unfortunately. I've noticed over the years though. I like doing karaoke, and I can hold a note now and then. I tend to do, as bearing in mind looking the way I look, bald and Thanos chin beard and all that. I look like a someone who's a complete and total metalhead, when in fact I could probably do show tunes a lot better than anything else. Give me music.
Nothing wrong with that.
Music of the Night by Phantom of the Opera. I'll do that. I'll do that really well. I'm thinking of putting that on SoundCloud, but I thought, everyone's been in the house for the last 6 months. I haven't had time to myself. It's like, go away. I'll do it. I'll see how it goes. It'd be a laugh anyway. At the end of the day, I've now got more followers on Twitter than I've ever had before. So if you're like, oh, did you hear Richard singing Phantom of the Opera? Yeah, he's really good. Is he going to be on stage? No, because the Phantom's not fat and he hasn't got a beard. There you go. The fat tum of the opera. God, we've completely strayed off the questions, haven't we?
Yeah, well,
that's fine. I think we got
typical.
I think we got the basis of it though, because obviously we've mentioned we've unveiled April 30th. Jason, you've mentioned already that you've got a couple of tracks of still going. You've got a shed load of EPs that are in the works. A possible album that's due to come with an all-new sound of Evolution for 12 Years Today. So I think we're pretty much set with how the music's going to be going for you guys. You still chucking popcorn at him while he sings?
No, actually, it was very interesting. The last time we did trackings, we did it separately because we're safe.
We had no choice but to come up with our own somewhat remote situation to track, and it worked out surprisingly well. I was expecting it to be fine, but it worked out better than I thought it would. And,
absolutely.
I don't know, James might have to deal with that method of recording going forward, because
I've dealt with worse.
and I could talk shit to him, tell him like, hey, do this again, that sucked, without him having to or being able to turn around and hit me, because he's not there.
I'm not violent like that.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
But he definitely can't throw popcorn at me. I just get my revenge by emptying his beer fridge.
Joke's on you, I get it for free.
Yeah, that's true.
Really?
That's pretty much what I tell myself when I open the door. It's like, whatever, he gets this for free.
How do you get free beer?
I work for a brewery.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm just now thinking of what that would be like.
You know
free
what?
Beer?
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the beer that this brewery makes until I started, and then you'd acquire your craft beer taste. I see you're not into that, seeing as you're drinking Coors Light, but I won't judge.
No, there's a reason behind that. Weirdly, I used to weigh 22 stone, which I don't know how many pounds it is. I think it's somewhere in the region of 325 or some stupid shit like that. I could have literally been a contender for WWE. I was that big. I then started. I started dealing with the diet side, walking a lot more, and I thought, well, I should really cut down on the beer. So I noticed that Coors Light itself was actually lower in calories. So now that's
it's
great.
A lot lower, yeah
that's
for
great
sure.
when it's lower in calories, unless you're actually drinking like 6 cans instead of 4. So, and if they're pint cans, so yeah. Plus, the last year's been terrible. We found out that one of our local places actually delivers, so the beer now comes to me, and I don't have to leave the house. So I think I'm keeping Coors Light afloat in the UK.
Nice.
Literally. And I don't have to spread my legs like Jean-Claude Van Damme on the advert either.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
That's an image.
Isn't it?
That's all he does in his films, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. You pretty much just wait for the part where he does the splits, right? He's like, oh, there it is. Okay.
And then he punches someone 3 times in the face.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's Van Damme.
That is Van Damme.
Right. What we're going to do then, let's have a quick look at this. So, yeah, what have we touched upon this evening? So we've talked about how you met. We've talked about your influences. We talked about 12 Years Today. Read the wrong bit. We've talked about Debt of Sin, where it came from. We've discussed Who Knew. We've discussed other music coming up. We mentioned the fact that obviously you're going to have session musicians, meaning that you can tour or at least play live. I mean, if a tour, if let's do a theoretical scenario. Someone decides to put some kind of tour on, and they bring you in. Where would you be willing to go?
It's a hard question because
of jobs.
Not even that. When we started this, we weren't planning on doing anything like that.
Nice.
We've for sure like talked about ifs, what ifs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If this was 10 years ago, I think it'd be more like, oh my God, let's do it like yesterday. Now I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, a wife, and not to say that it's not on the table, but it's something that we've literally taken no time to discuss, because of the pandemic, and B, it's like we're not gonna talk about the what ifs too much, because we're not like out there shopping our records to try and get signed to go on tour. So if something were to come up, it would literally have to be, okay, give us some time. We got to hash out the details, see where we're willing to and not willing to go.
Maybe something. And if a local festival did like unsigned bands.
Oh, stuff like that. I mean, without a doubt, we would do. I mean, even like in the province that we're in, right? Like we wouldn't even think about it. It'd be like, yeah, let's do it. Right.
Yeah, because it's easy. It's right here.
Yeah.
It's right here. Like, I'm sure both of you, well, I know James can relate, but like before my kid, it was a different life. And then my kid came around and I turned into a total, like just a bitch. Like for my, like I just want to be home with my kid.
Yeah.
Right. And I would never do the, 6, 7, 8 month plus long tours.
Yeah.
No. I just wouldn't do it.
Not a chance. Not a chance. When I see things like going back to like Metallica, I remember how hard they grinded the tour for that Black album back in the day. They released a documentary video called A Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica. That was their tour. They toured for like 2 years, fucking solid. And a lot of bands still do that because that's almost kind of what you have to do these days.
That's the mainstream now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to be that band that makes a lot of money, you know, where you can say like, this life did me good financially, you kind of have to do that, because you can't just sit on your ass and sell 10 million records anymore.
Yeah. When I found out that, I think it was Dave Lombardo, the drummer from Slayer at the time, his annual income was like 60 grand a year.
Yeah. You told me that.
Which is like great money, but you're also the drummer of Slayer. Yeah. So, you know, if he's only making that, then, and again, there's nothing wrong. Again, it's not about the money, hence why we're doing what we're doing, how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Right. But because we are where we are at in our lives, families and so on, you know, it's hard to just say, okay, well, I'm going to risk everything that we've worked for the last, you know, 15 years to achieve on a personal level. You know, and it's a lifestyle, right? And again, 10 years ago, there was that opportunity for me in the band I was in to I called my dad and I was like, okay, so I either have to quit my job or quit the band.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, well, what do you want? I was like, I want a family. I want kids. I want a house. I want like kind of nice stuff, and call it materialistic. I don't give a shit. There's a lot of people who say that they don't want nice shit, but they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you don't want nice stuff. You're full of shit.
Like I want to have a good, comfortable life.
Yeah.
And so I decided, okay, the band stuff's done.
There's definitely a difference between comfort and luxury, isn't there? You know, you want to have
something right.
comfortable, you want to be able to sit back and just chill. You don't have to do it in a multi-million dollar.
Dude, I put in a fire pit in the backyard a week ago. Last night, I sat there with my 2.5-year-old daughter, had a fire going. That's literally all I want in life. I'm not kidding.
That is fantastic.
Right? So,
it really is.
You know, that's what I wanted over 10 years ago when I stopped the music thing, right? Stopped it on that level, right? And so again, if an offer came on the table and about, hey, do you guys want to go away for a weekend and you want to play a couple shows in the UK? Let's just call it that. It'd be like, hey, can we bring the wives? Can we bring the kids? Can we make this like a trip? How much money do we have to pay? Nothing? Cool. Let's talk about it.
Hey, if I win the lottery, yeah, I've already said if we ended up winning the Euro Millions, ended up with X amount of millions of pounds in the bank, one of the things I'd want to do is try and launch, for Paul's sake, Paul Holmes, who is the boss of Indie Rocks, launch this as like Indie Rocks UK Music. Have our own little office, have our own studio and things like that. And you know what? That would be a case of ring, ring. Hey guys, come to the UK, all expenses paid. You can do a show. Wicked. And then we can all sit around a huge fire pit.
Right?
Yeah.
No, my kids won't be there. They won't give a shit. They'll stay
to Jay's point earlier too, it's like he said, like, it's not about the money.
Yeah.
But it is about making a living, and that's what we do right now. We're making a living doing what we do, like with our regular jobs.
Yeah.
And in order to make a living, and especially the kind of living that, you know, allows us to do the things that we want to do, doing music, it will require a lot more grinding in terms of touring than we're prepared to do. Now, like he said, like, that's not saying that we're not interested in playing some shows, but we're not going to be workhorses that way. It's just, we're past that at this point. It's like, you know, would I love to come to London and play a show? Yes. You know, and then I'd love to hit, you know, a couple of key spots in the US, you know, obviously here at home, you know, maybe zip over to Sydney in Australia, play a cool show over there, play in South Africa once, maybe, you know, like those kind of things. And then, but like Jay said, like make them like like a trip.
Yeah.
Where it feels more like a trip instead of like, oh, we're going to be on tour for 6 months and we're not going to see our families and things like that. Like that is something that we're not into.
I do think the independent scene sees it that way as well. You know,
you know what? I think a lot of people see it that way now. I mean, you know, even pre C word.
Yeah.
Right. Again, it's a lifestyle. You have to be okay with not, you know, like literally living at home for a long time, basically until your musical run is over and you've had enough of, you know, falling behind. Again, I'm making it sound to be like not a good time. I mean,
no,
it's a lifestyle. Like I know people who are in that industry and that's what they do and they love it. They wouldn't trade it for anything, right? They didn't care to have a family. They don't care to, you know, whatever, own or rent a home, have a vehicle. They don't care about any of that. They want to go out and play music forever. And that's great. 100%. That's just not what I wanted to do.
No,
right. I'd much rather sit in a studio and produce other bands, which I mean, I'm currently doing right now on the side. I've done for quite a few years. And that's, you know, so that with 12 years today is, you know, my way of like keeping in music without the, you know, without the obligation to fulfill a contract that I may have signed when I was 5+ years younger, with different goals in mind. Right.
Yeah. If anything, this past year has taught me and quite a few of the actual Unside bands that I've conversed with through Twitter and things like that, is that time is something that we've still got on our side. You know, you can still do what you want to do later on in life. A couple of the bands that I've spoken to started out in the 90s and are now getting around to doing things now. To go off the band idea and think like me, for instance, like I started doing the radio show last year, so I was 40. When I was 19, I started to. I was going to start doing the DJing. I had the equipment, but I had to sell it all to pay rent. So, you know, we then decided, just as you did, Jason, that, you know, it was a case of settle down, have a family. So there's no rush. And that's what's great about it, because you're still producing the music you are now at home. And it's still fantastic. I mean, like I say, episode 2 comes up on Tuesday. You're on the same. I know it's only my show, but you're on the same billing. It closes with Evanescence, you know, so you're on par with them, because you know they may be like huge and they may be one of the mainstream lots, but you know you're still on par with them when it comes to how the music is heard and how the music is played, because it's still so well put together. And to turn around and say things like, well, here's Group A, multi-million-dollar backed things in a studio, and here's Group B, 2 guys working regular jobs and on their weekends recording and sending the things over and producing on one computer. Now tell me which one's which. And people can't, because the caliber of music is that much better. And it's got nothing to do with, like you say, you don't need to rush out there and get the millions of dollars and the big mansions, because you're doing the music because you want to do the music, and it's the passion that kicks through, and that's why people listen. And that's why,
I think there's something to be said about that, right? Like I think that, like, I would much rather listen to a band who's doing it for the love of making the music, rather than chasing money that doesn't exist anymore in this industry. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
And you know, like I would much rather listen to someone who's in it for the creativity. And you know, I would much rather sit back and listen, and you know, whether it's dissecting something, seeing, you know, what you can hear, what you didn't hear, you know, 10 years ago, like we talked about already, stuff like that. Like that's way more interesting than some prepackaged bullshit that it's manufactured by, whether it's a record label or
17
management or a management team or whatever.
Exactly.
Right. And
there's something to be said for listening to music where the artist involved wants you to hear their music, like wants their music to be heard, like almost in a desperate sense, not even desperate, just like really careful about what they've created and what they want to let people hear, versus a band that is releasing something because they're contractually obligated to put out another record or whatever,
there
right?
Are so many
because
times,
they're being paid to.
Yeah, there are so many times you can read up like this band split because they didn't produce the third album that was within their contract, and they just dissolved of this and that, and that frustrates me,
or it didn't live up to sales expectations or something like that. But then time tells, like on those records, like did that mean it wasn't as good of a record as the one before that? Well, not necessarily.
And talk about stress too, because it's like, that's your only way of income, right? And you're wondering, like, is this gonna make or break? Because even though you're signed to a contract, that contract is for the other party.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not for the artist. So that artist can get cut before the first record's even released. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The company will, wash their hands and, cut their losses with whatever they advanced you. But, that's about, you're the best. Thank you.
I mean, I must admit, I'm guilty of saying on my show that, I think I might even have it said on episode 2 that, I love this band. I think I'd love it if they made it big. And now thinking about it, you don't need to though, do you?
No, but I mean,
everybody wants.
In your defense, though, like in your defense, like when you say I want to see them make it big, you want to see them do well, and you want to see them, just that do well, right? Whether that's financially, creatively, all of the above, right? There's nothing wrong in wanting that for somebody.
Yeah,
right?
Based on that though, based on how you're talking about it, I can already see that you're both doing well because you're making the music you want to make, and we're
doing well because we like the end result.
Yeah.
As we're evolving and progressing, right? There's like two parts to it. There's like how we see the successful side of things. It's we're developing as artists and we're still getting better, I guess you can say, for lack of a better term. And then there's the other side of there's people who genuinely like our music and genuinely like interacting with us and all that stuff. So
that's what I'm here for.
We have a bucket list, which I won't get into. It's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
But fuck man, like we've ticked a lot of those boxes already.
Yeah.
We really have. Like we don't even have, like we only have a few hundred monthly listeners on Spotify. Now for us, I mean, like we're stoked on that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But bands that we listen to have tens of hundreds of thousands of listeners, so
millions.
Yeah, so like that just proves that we're not here for all the on paper stuff, right? I mean, it'd be great. Like I will share one bucket list thing on my end, and I'm sure it's James's too. Like I would love to see 10,000 monthly listeners.
Yeah,
sure.
Like if I saw that, I'd be like,
I'd love to see 5,000.
I'd love to see 5,000. 100%.
But like what you said, like
that's
a few
the kind
hundred.
Of shit. Like that's the kind of shit that we look forward to, is seeing the growth of people liking it, or even at least just giving it a chance, even if they don't like it, but they gave it a chance. Like,
even if it's, cool. If it's stalled out at 250, I'm trying, like definitely a glass half full kind of scenario here. It's like, I'm still looking at it like there's 250 people in the world that are listening to our music often enough that number stays this, because that's based on monthly, right?
Yeah.
Like there's 250 people listening to our music that often that number stays in that range. And that's awesome. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to my estimation.
Yeah. I mean, put all of our listeners like in my house.
Right. And like,
it quickly becomes a shitload of people.
Right. That looks impressive to me.
Right. So,
and I'm good with that.
It's all on how you look at it. Right.
Exactly. So, I mean, if that number grows, awesome. At the end of the day, and I know Jace shares this sentiment, is two things, and you already said it, Rich, is like, number one, we are making the music that we want to make. Nobody's controlling us. You know, there's no puppet strings here. Like, we're doing what we want to do. And even better than that, we're writing the music that we want to write. We're putting the music out that we want to be out there.
Yeah.
And people are listening to it.
Yeah. People
are liking it. And whether it goes up by a small margin or not, the number is going up. More and more people are liking what we're putting out, and that fuels the fire. That just says, you know what? Let's keep writing songs. Let's keep writing music so that people.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, with Dead of Sin, that was the fact that was the first time we released a single, right? It was always just we drop the EP, walk away. This is
the exception of Home. I guess Home was technically a single, but
I don't even count that. Like that was a flop, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Like you know, like with Dead of Sin, like that was like what made us think like, okay, people actually do care. Maybe we should just do the releasing a single approach before an EP. Like we're trying to see, like, because I know, like, for me, there's some bands, not all, but there's some bands, if they release a record, I don't take the time to listen to it until I can listen to it front to back. Right. But then there's some bands where I'm like, you know, I may have heard on radio or through a friend or whatever, and then I just listen to the single, right? Because I just really like, if I'm the kind of guy that if I really like a song, it's on repeat for like weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, it just seems like that was the right move for us with Dead of Sin, and hopefully, you know, with the new single coming out in a couple of weeks, like, you know, we're hoping that kind of does the same thing, in the sense of reaching people and all that, rather than an EP.
And it seems to be working. There's seems to be quite a lot of positive anticipation for this new single. We have stated that it's not so much that it's a different direction, but it's like I said, it's an evolution.
Okay.
It's all the best parts of everything we've done so far, I guess is the best way to put it. And we're really excited for people to hear it, and see what the reaction is going to be to the full thing, to the front to back.
Is it going to is it definitely going to be a released on the 30th, and there's not going to be any kind of, like, I don't know, early plays on, I don't know, Tuesday the 22nd, maybe 27th, sorry.
Honestly, we've hemmed and hawed. There's been a few people that reached out, offering to do that, and as much as you don't
ask, you don't get. That's my philosophy. So.
It's fair enough. As much as we appreciate it, we just want to hang on. We want to hang on until the 30th, but
May 4th.
Maybe that's more me than James. But
that's cool. Like I say, May 4th. Then it'll.
There, I will say this before an official announcement is made. There is a debut that is going to be set for that song, and everything beyond that is going to get dished out at the same time. So, like, you will get your copy, Rich, 100%.
Speaking of copies as well, what is there any way of getting, like, physical copies of the EPs?
We've never really even talked about it.
No, not really. No,
it's because one of the things I've noticed a lot of people are still picking up vinyl and stuff like that. And one of those things that I've never gotten into is vinyl. Not for any other reason. I stated this in my last interview, was that I've got a habit of, when it comes to collecting things, they sort of get over the top. We used to have an entire wall full of DVDs, and they all went, and they suddenly got replaced with Blu-rays. And if I started buying vinyl, we're just going to have no space again. But it's one of those things, like, it would be nice to have a physical copy of something. And as much as a CD is good, a vinyl is just, it's better. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, we've talked about, we are planning to maybe plan some, like, giveaways, not necessarily hard copies of music.
Yeah,
but it's an option.
But whether it be like album art, like framed album art or something, or a shirt or something,
because there's no easy way these days of getting like vinyl printed unless you do something stupid like, well, you need to print at least 100. And you've got to weigh up the pros and cons whether or not you're going to get your money back based on those. So which is a pain in the arse at the end of the day. But like I say, if it ever does come to that, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's definitely not a no. We're living in a much different time these days on how we consume our music.
Absolutely.
And that kind of market is very it's unstable for the best way to say it. Vinyl is a completely different story aside from CDs, but
yeah, it does have its revivals though.
Absolutely. And it's so it's not a closed door, but it's definitely
just not on the to-do list.
Yeah,
it's not on the immediate to-do list.
We'll see what happens.
Right. Where are we up to now? So I think that's pretty much everything, to be honest, guys.
Sounds cool. Good.
I hear my kid running around and she's calling for me.
I'll start doing the dinner thing here for us soon.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I'll tell you what I will need before you do scoot off, though. As we're going to be playing... This is talking whole thing, and I've written everything. Because obviously we're going to be playing Who Knew tonight, which came out on... Can't remember the date.
I can't either.
March 12th.
Yeah, there you go.
Someone's paying attention.
Dates, man. I'm weird with that.
All I need from you guys is I just need to say something like so could you please introduce your latest track for the listeners?
This is our cover of Pink's hit Who Knew. I don't know.
Is that good?
Was that good? I don't know.
I don't know. Some of the lines of hey, it's James from 12 Years Today.
Oh, okay.
Like that, you know,
come on, James, you can do it.
You're listening to try and fit in. There you go. Hold on, let me get. I think.
Here's an idea. Here's an idea.
TiLt on Indie Rocks Radio. So.
Okay, so here's an idea, James. You can edit this. You can edit this out, right?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So you're gonna say, "Hey, it's James," and then I'm gonna say, "Hey, it's Jason," and then you're gonna say, "You're about to listen to Who Knew." Our cover of Who Knew on what TiLt.
TiLt.
Yeah.
TiLt
on TiLt here on Indie Rocks Radio.
Yeah. So I get to just say my name, and then you get stuck with all that other stuff. So go ahead.
Okay. Hey guys, it's James.
And it's Jason.
From 12 Years Today. And you're about to listen to Who Knew on TiLt right here on Indie Rocks Radio.
Excellent. Ah, there you go.
That was awesome.
It was.
I felt like a radio personality there.
I just looked at our Twitter, and you did the shout out about how we're going to be on this show. And then Rich says he's nervous. Your nerves. Were you actually nervous?
Yes, mate, I was.
You shouldn't be, man. You do a really good job.
Yeah.
You do a really good job, man.
I've got.
Have you had somebody call you out on something before? Like, have you interviewed somebody rude or?
No. I'm my own worst critic.
Okay.
Well, I can relate to that.
I'll tell you what. If you want to, if you're gonna feel jitters or nervous or unsure about how you're presenting yourself on these podcasts, I want you to go back and watch mine and Jay's first podcast, on our own. It is fucking ridiculous. We are not professional. We are not, we're just talking, right? That's the thing. We're just talking. You have the advantage of you can edit out whatever you don't want in there, a couple of those.
Are they live, your podcast then?
Nope.
No, they're not. But we don't tend to, you don't really edit a whole hell of a lot of it, right? I mean, if we flub something major or we end up saying something that we shouldn't have or something because we went on a rant, then
shame
we have
on
that
us.
option.
No, we don't. Yeah. Shame on us.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right?
I think
you did great, man. I thought you did great.
Honestly, we had a blast. It was really cool.
It boils down to, like I say, it boils down to my previous years of amateur dramatics, getting lines right and things like that, and going on stage in front of people. Like, I mean, as daft as it sounds, it's similar to you guys. It was never huge mainstream acting, but you had rooms full of people, and the applause at the end is fantastic. I completely miss it. I can't do it anymore, unfortunately. But that's
hopefully at the end of this podcast, when people watch it or hear it, however they're consuming it, they'll applaud.
Thank you.
Stand up and applaud.
No, honestly, you're awesome, man. We can only hope that we're invited back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I mean, I've decided on. I've recently made the decision. In fact, it was a conscious decision I made today. I'm going to do one of two things, because what I did this week was I organised the entire show, leaving like a 20-minute gap to fit you guys into after the fact. So I'll be editing this down tomorrow to get into the show for Tuesday. And then I'll probably do some kind of edit to make it viewable a bit better when it hits YouTube, because we've got an Indie Rocks YouTube page, at least we should have, and I'm going to start doing more interviews on that. And I've decided what I'll do is that if I can get more interviews done during the week or anytime they're free, I can have those separate. And if I want to add that to the show at some point, I can do that later on down the line.
If you want a couple other guests, like I have a few musicians, a couple in which I'm producing, as well as just musician friends that are solo artists and multi-instrumentalists and all that kind of stuff. I can't believe I said that properly.
It was impressive. I'm not gonna lie.
I thought I was gonna fuck that up. Yeah. But like I'm sure you have a laundry list of guests that you can already get on, that you already have scheduled and all that stuff. But like no, okay, well, perfect. Well, I think I've got
two, possibly a third in the idea. But the idea is that I'm trying to think of it on a less linear perspective. I don't want to do
Did you say you had Chasing Records lined up?
I haven't.
Okay, you should definitely talk to those guys.
They're great guys.
But they are on episode 2.
Awesome. Yeah, no, they would for sure come on, and they're great guys. Their podcast is the exact same kind of format, like the Zoom thing and all that.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what. Seeing as we're talking about it like that, if you've I've obviously I emailed you I emailed you the link today, so you've both got my email on there. If you've got anything you want to send my way, just anytime. We can always chat through social media anyway. And hey, don't be a stranger on Zoom and shit like that. That's cool, man. For
sure. You got it. Sure.
And I'll throw in as well. If you need a guest on a podcast at some point, give us a bell. I'll just come on and we'll just shoot the shit about whatever.
Yeah, we love shooting the shit. Yeah,
that's really all our podcast is
just shooting the shit, talking about music.
Yeah, that's great.
Or whatever else.
I mean, you wouldn't have any problem with me sort of mentioning.
Not at all.
No.
Cool, man.
No, man. We're not under contract.
Yeah, we're literally two dudes that just talk about whatever.
Yeah. Right.
You can, and it's you know what, and it's a lot of shout outs. We do a lot of shout outs for
we're all about that giving back, man.
Radio.
You want to come on and plug Indie Rocks? We got you, man. Because Indie Rocks has been supporting us, as well as a lot of other radio
stations. Even if you weren't supporting us,
just do it. Yeah,
absolutely.
You got a favorite,
the easiest going guys. If you haven't,
got a favorite fucking fast food chain you want to pimp? Like, we can do that too, man. I don't care.
I could talk about food all day.
Right, all day long. We can do a whole.
Speaking of that, I gotta go make it. So
do I.
Anyway, thanks again, Rich. It was awesome.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Like I say, I'll get this edited down to a nice 20-minute job tomorrow. Show will be on at 6 p.m., which will be, like I say, your 5 hours. No, what we?
Yeah,
we're 5.
Like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, so 1 p.m. your time. But if you can't catch it, then it repeats at 2 a.m., which will be 9
on my way home from work
p.m. your side. But then I will also place up on the Indie Rocks Mix Cloud on Friday.
Okay. So when the episode does go up, do you post on Twitter?
Yeah, I share the shit out of it, mate.
Okay, perfect. I'll keep an eye out for that.
So if only I could get the people actually who follow the tweets to actually listen, because like I say, if it's on about numbers and listeners, then my listeners.
Let me tell you, like, unless I'm proven wrong,
Yeah.
My old hashtag TYT Army, they will listen.
Awesome.
And if they don't, Doreen will show up at their front fucking door and they will rue the day.
Love to Doreen.
Right?
Everyone blow a kiss to Doreen before we go.
Much love to Doreen.
This will be Jason.
Oh, come on. I thought you were going to leave me alone. Yeah, well, whatever.
Just give her a wink. Just give her a wink.
Yeah, I already blew a half kiss. We're done.
That's all right. You got 2.5 kisses. That's fine.
There you go. All right.
Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure.
That's right.
Yeah. Whenever you're available again, it'll be great to get you back on and just stay in touch.
Absolutely. You as well.
Thank you very much for this, and thank you for your kind words about how I've done. And hold on a minute.
Killing it.
Excuse me, that was a
4. That was a fucking 4.
I went that way. I was being polite.
Oh, all right.
Was that? I was being polite, and then I was a 6 or a 7. You said.
Yeah, I was also being polite about that though. So being very.
Sure, buddy. All right.
All right. All right.
See you guys.
I'm out, guys.
All right, man.
See ya.
See you later.